We've all been misidentifying what narcissism is. Not even misidentifying. We haven't been identifying what it is at all. What we attribute to narcissism is the symptoms of narcissism, the tactics of narcissism, the lying, the abuse, the backstabbing, the scapegoating, the gaslighting. Those are all tactics of narcissism. It's not what narcissism actually is. Once you understand, I think, what narcissism is, you'll be able to more easily break contact. And I'll tell you how I came to this realization this week. And it was based on me talking to one of my friends, one of my followers, one of my old followers. She had gone no contact, and she went back, and now had all the customary emotions that come along with going no contact once your abuser shows their true colors once again. You know, the self-doubt, the self-anger, the hopelessness, was all there. And, I gave her my advice. And what she kept asking was, do you think my mother knows that she's lying? And the answer is absolutely yes. And I thought to myself, well, why? Why do I know that? I knew it, but I wasn't identifying as to why I knew it, why I knew it to be true. And the reason is, it finally, the light went off in my head is, well, you're not actually identifying what narcissism is. You identify what narcissists do, how they act like machines and they act like Terminators and they're not even human, and the backstabbing, the gaslighting, the lying, the manipulation, all of that you readily identify, but you don't identify what narcissism is. And what narcissism is, in short, is just the chosen weapon of your abuser. They use narcissism in order to get their way. They're narcissists by choice. This isn't a disease. Borderline personality disorder isn't a disease, it's a disorder. Narcissism isn't a disease, it's a disorder. Histrionic personality disorder is not a disease, it's a disorder. There's no chemical imbalance. There's no, misfiring that can be studied here. There's no medication for any of these type of disorders. They'll give you Adderall, they'll give you an uppers, they'll give you downers, Zoloft, they'll give you the antipsychotics, but they don't work. Why is that? Because there's no chemical imbalance to fix. The disease is a socialized disease. Disease is a learned disease. The condition, I'm sorry, not disease. The condition is a learned condition. Your abuser, yes, probably grew up in that environment. But then they made the choice to get behind it and to use that narcissism as their own weapon and as their own defense field as well. The narcissist knows that they're lying. Your abuser knows that they're lying. If you're dealing with somebody who has, who's schizophrenic, who's psychotic, who has, I'm sorry, not borderline, and it's slipping. Those are diseases. Those are bipolar, I'm sorry, who's bipolar, who has something chemically that could be read and be given some sort of medication to even it out, to even out the hormonal imbalance or whatever imbalance is going on in the brain. When a psychotic, a schizophrenic, a bipolar is having an episode, the episode doesn't make any sense to anybody but them. You know, whether it's a sort of paranoia, or, you know, they think they're seeing something that they don't think, or the government's out to get them. Might not be completely crazy on that one, but for the purposes of these videos, those type of people's outbursts are completely irrational, based on anything, based on nothing, because there's something going on inside their bodies that they cannot control. That is not the situation with your abusers. Your abusers choose to abuse. They stand back there behind that force field of deceit and lies and manipulation, and it's an impenetrable force field. You will never, ever, ever get through it. How are you going to get through it? Because it doesn't matter how much proof you have for the narcissist. And if my phone call from narcissistic mother isn't a perfect example of that, where it's on audio, you can hear the abuse for yourself. Didn't happen, it was a manipulation. What do you say to somebody like that? Are you telling me that somebody could rationally believe that? Absolutely not. Because if your abuser rationally, I'm sorry, not rationally, actually believe that, based on something that you know happened, they know happened, you have proof that it happened, that is a very specific lie to be telling, a manipulation, something that's inaccurate, that is deliberate, that is focused on the point of whatever you're confronting them on. Whereas somebody with an actual psychological disease is not, they're all over the place. And even though the narcissistic abuser's argument makes no sense, you know, in the long run, for the purposes of that point, they are focused on that, and because they know what the truth is and they won't go near it. So they're cognizant enough to stay away from the truth and to create the lie to prevent you from gaining what you want, the truth, the acknowledgement. That's not a disease, that's a choice. Which is why no contact is the only way to deal with it. And the second question that she asked me, which is the question we all ask ourselves, is like, do you ever worry that you're a narcissist? And originally we all do, because we were raised in it. We all have the tendencies, and how could you not? But I've said this before. Your abuser's never even going to look at a video like this, because a video like this puts the mirror up to the narcissist's face. See, the person that has chosen narcissism as their defense and as their weapon is standing behind it. They're actively back there, knowing that the real person they are, because they hate themselves. They hate themselves. So they're standing back there, knowingly, deliberately, because they want to be. You were born into it, and you said no. You ran away from it. Yeah, you were born into it, and yeah, you were exposed to it, but you recognize this is fucked up. You chose to find out what the hell this is, and I got to get away from it. That's been your struggle with your abuser the entire time, is you've been trying to get away from what the abuser has used as their whole being, as their whole defense, as their whole assertiveness. So as you're trying to get away from this narcissist, that force field, they keep firing and firing and firing at you. And when you try to turn and confront the damn thing, you'll never get through it, because the person on the inside knows what the truth is. And the narcissism, they can use the narcissism any way they choose to use it. They'll use it anyway. If they gotta lie, they'll lie. If they gotta cry, they'll cry. If they gotta incorporate other people into their lie and build up alliances, they'll do it. If they gotta scapegoat, they'll do it. If they gotta gaslight, they'll do it. This is like, look at the person, look at it much along the line as the Terminator. Like I said, they're machines. This is like the Death Star that has a force field around it. And inside the Death Star is Darth Vader making all the moves. That's what you're dealing with. The only difference is there's no little 1 meter porthole that you're going to fire a photon in and blow the thing up. It isn't going to happen. Because battling the force field only makes it stronger. Because the person on the inside gets off on it. That's why they chose it. That's why they're using it. They're using it because it empowers them. You will never, ever, ever get through it. And you're not a narcissist because you're watching this video. And I've heard from many of you who have tried to have your abusers watch my videos or watch other people's videos, and they shut down. No, they start freaking out because they can't stand having that mirror held in front of their face, because it scares them. It scares them because the thing with your abuser is, we know something that they don't know. They don't know how strong the weapons of narcissism is. They use it, they like it, it empowers them. But they fight so hard out of fear because they are still terrified that something's going to break through. So it's not like, oh, well, this is the greatest thing ever. They don't think like that, because the real person behind the Death Star is a fucking coward. You're the brave one. You're the one who escaped it. You're the one who realized this is wrong. That's why you're trying to find out what this thing of narcissism is. What happened to you? That's why. Because you chose not to stand behind it. You said, this is fucking evil. I got to get away from it. And they don't want you to get away. Because if you get away, they got to look right here. Because they know they left because you left because of them. And they know you left because you really know what's standing behind that force field. So that's why I think just identifying narcissism by its tactics and its symptoms doesn't help, because you'll get caught in the same cycle. back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, round and round and round, and you never get out of it because you're not actually realizing what the narcissism is. The narcissism is a weapon. You don't want to get hit with a weapon? Don't go near it. You don't want to get hit with a weapon, you don't go near it. And I'll say this again. I know no contact is the only solution because, and I'll put this out there again, if you can name me one success story of a narcissist that was cured and everything they were being, you were being, that somebody was being abused and the narcissist accepted it and now everything's great. We all lived happily. Where is that story? Give me one. Furthermore, find me one person who's gone no contact and has said, wow, I really wish I hadn't done that. I really wish that that narcissistic abuser was still in my life. If only I hadn't gone no contact, why did I do it? Find me that person. And that's not to say when you go no contact, everything is gravy. You got the loneliness factor. You know, you're starting over. You feel like you come from nowhere. And all that sucks. And I talk to people who've had those exact feelings. But not one of them has ever said, God, I just wish I could. I just wish I never went no contact. It was just such the wrong thing to do. One person. So that's why, I get frustrated sometimes. Not frustrated, but I don't post in in a lot of the threads and the Facebook boards because sometimes I think it's a lot of people when they're like, well, what do I do? This person's been doing this and that, and they've been years. How can I get them to change? They're not going to change. And sometimes just if you want to get this recovery, no contact's going to be inevitable for you. And it's never easy. But nobody's ever find me one person that said, I went no contact and it got worse. And I got worse. And I felt worse about myself. And doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So she was she posed that question, took me down that road, and it was just that light went off in my head, like narcissism is just their tool. And you understand that, like, it's just a tool that person is using against me, and they're not going to put it down. And you're not going to defeat it because the only way to get through that force field is to join them. If you want to join them, they'll open up that force field. You'll get right in. You'll get right in if you want to join them. But you ain't getting out. You ain't getting out because they hate themselves. They know what they are. They know what they do. And they purposely use narcissistic abuse as their weapon against you. And you're not the narcissist, and they're chasing you. And that's the difference. Don't stop. Don't stop and try to confront it because that's what it wants. That's what it needs. You fight that force field, it only makes that force field stronger. It only makes that force field stronger because fighting the narcissist is is giving it its fuel. It's like throwing water on a grease fire. You're just stoking the flames and delaying the inevitable. Bugging out, getting far away, and letting it be evil. Go let it be evil somewhere else because they made that choice. And it's time for you to make yours. Thanks for watching. This is Ollie Matthews, and I'll see you all again real soon. Thanks. Bye.